Hey, Tom, how many houses have we sold in our 19 years of working together?
Joanne, that's a great question. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Taranto. Today, we just wanted to fill you in on what we have done over the last 19 years and why that matters for you as a potential client. So, Tom, how many houses have we sold?
Well, Joanne, my sister Mary called me the president of the nerd herd. And that's important because I have an Excel spreadsheet with every deal we've done. And Joanne and I have sold 690 homes in our career. And if you divide that by 19 years, it's an average of 36 homes a year. So Joanne, why does that matter?
Oh gosh, boots on the ground are so important in real estate because over the time that we have been selling, so much has changed. I was talking with some buyers the other day and I said, once upon a time ago, I used to go out with a buyer and show them like 10 or 12 houses in a day. And we would meet every Saturday and look at 10 or 12 houses. And then we'd have multiple buyers in a row. We'd be out for like 16-hour days showing properties. And we would do that for weeks on end, and you still wouldn't see all the inventory that was potentially a good fit for you.
Right.
And things have changed.
Things have changed. And now you show one buyer a house for an hour. You meet with a seller. You put their house on the market on a Wednesday. By Tuesday, they have 5 offers and the house is sold. The market shifts, but why experience matters? Real estate is a business where you are hiring another human being to be your fiduciary. You are hiring them to be your advocate, whether you're on the sell side or the buy side. And part of one of the most important things in real estate is the contract. Understanding how to write a good offer, or conversely, when you're reviewing an offer with a seller, what makes an offer a great offer? That's where experience really comes in. Because Joanne, what a lot of people don't know is, what is a BATNA?
A BATNA is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And this is a strategy that we employ often on both sides of the transaction. When we're representing a seller, the BATNA may be, hey, we're going to go back to the top 2 offers and, get a best and final from them. And if we can't, increase the price, what would be ideal in terms that you would love? A quicker closing, a longer closing. Having a strategy in place, like your plan B.
Right.
And back when we used to do a lot more, negotiating on price and terms, we would say, if the seller is not willing to do this, or if the buyer is not willing to do this, what's our next move? Just so that there are no surprises when you put something out there in a negotiation, you have a plan for what's coming next. And so part of the experience of selling 690 homes is being on both sides of the transaction. So representing buyers and sellers, so you understand what's important, at any given time in the market, but also knowing the speed bumps that can come up along the way. So we always called it bulletproofing the transaction.
Right, exactly. And ensuring that sellers and buyers get to a closing table, because one of the biggest challenges with real estate is that there are so many people involved in the transaction that we can't control. So you have an appraiser who's coming out for the bank to appraise the value. You have insurance people, you have mortgage people, you have lawyers, you have home inspectors. You have just so many people that can influence a transaction and where something may go awry. And we're the quarterback. And we have to know how to handle situations that come up. Because like in a home inspection, for instance, Joanne and I would always say to sellers, there are 2 types of issues that come up: gray issues and black and white issues. So a gray issue is you may have a boiler that's 25 years old. And the home inspector says, hey, that's fully depreciated. It could die tomorrow, last another 10 years. And a buyer comes and says, I want 15 grand off the price for a new boiler. You have to have the experience to be able to articulate to the seller, listen, this is a gray issue. We got to kind of hold firm and negotiate hard on this one. Versus a home inspector going in an attic, finding black mold. You have to test it to know it's mold. But if you see black substance all over the sheathing, it's mold. That's a black and white issue. Listen, you got to get rid of that. Let's get a mold mitigator in here. Let's take care of this. That comes with experience. If you're hiring your friend who just got into real estate, that you want to help them out, Just understand they're practicing on your home. And what we have found through our 20 years selling real estate is that for the average American homeowner, the equity in their property, so the difference between what they owe the bank and what you sell that house for, that equity, is typically a top 5 asset in their financial portfolio. So why would you want to practice? Let someone practice on that equity.
Right.
I remember last year we had a client hire us who had a real estate license. And his wife said, I don't want my husband practicing on my retirement.
Yep.
I want a pro. I want to bring you guys in. And Joanne, how was that experience for those guys?
That was a good experience. I mean, we had somebody who understood a lot about the business and what's important, but they were also very trusting.
Yes.
And so for us, we pride ourselves on getting our clients into transactions that we know we can get to the closing table, but a lot of the work is in the preparation before that.
Yes.
So buyer consultation, seller consultation, educating people on what is happening now in the real estate market and what's important and what's not.
Right.
Because there's lots of things that can come up in a real estate transaction that are not important.
Right.
But people don't know that they're not important if you don't have much experience. And that comes into play, particularly in home inspections.
Yes.
And then as homeowners ourselves, having fixed many things and spending years building our network of tradespeople, we also have recommendations or people we can get second opinions from if something comes up on a home inspection that we don't have experience with. But it doesn't happen very often.
Right. And I think the other thing where the 690 transactions play for both our buyers and sellers is that other agents in the marketplace know who we are. They know we get deals done. They know we're easy to work with. And that benefits our clients. Like I had a woman call me the other day on one of our listings. And she's like, Tom, I would love to do a deal with you and Joanne. I just know you guys have all your docs lined up and it will be a nice, smooth transaction where I won't have a headache that we won't get to a closing table. And that's really peace of mind that you can't really buy. You can't put, like people always say, they're always arguing about commissions and all this stuff. And I say, if you have a great agent who gets you the most money the market will bear with the least amount of headaches, that agent is priceless.
Agreed.
And that's kind of like what we want people to understand is that there are differences between the realtors that you might be interviewing to sell your home or you're interviewing to be your new buyer agent. And you have to ask them, what is your level of experience? Because there are some people that have had their license for 20 years, but they did it part-time. So
they're not transacting.
So they sold one house a year. So they have 20 years of experience and 20 sales under their belt.
Yep.
And that's different from having 20 years of experience and averaging 36 transactions a year.
Yep.
And also that consistency.
Yep.
How often, Joanna, we've seen an agent come in and sell 30 homes and then the next year sell 5.
Yeah. So building that business brick by brick has a solid foundation. And, it's dollar volume is one thing, but a transaction is experience over and over with different people in different situations and different types of properties, knowing the things that can come up on a home in Concord. Like, in certain parts of Concord, everybody has a septic. And we go in and we meet with somebody and we say, the first phone call you need to make is to line up your Title V inspection. And then we can tell them why it's so important to have that before you hit the market. Not to say that you can't do it in the reverse order. It's just not as smooth. So what we like to do is set people up for success. We continue to do a high level of transactions annually, year after year, and we are in our 20th anniversary year and happy to bring more value to buyers and sellers in the Metro West market.
Awesome. Well, thank you for watching another edition of Coffee with Tom and Joanne. Please subscribe to get more of our awesome videos. And I'm Tom Matthews.
And I'm Joanne Taranto. Cheers.